Hello, folks. Time to take a seat. Is it on now? Oh, now it's... Hello, everyone. Time to take your seat. Not too far, just sit on it. It's a lovely place to chat, this, isn't it? It's got a lovely homely feeling to it. We'll have to chat more like this when John's out front so that he feels he's having a discussion with us next time he does one of those 7 o'clock sessions. Shall I carry on? Yes, I'll carry on. So welcome, everybody. We've got members here. Do we have any guests tonight? Oh, welcome. And have we got home viewers tonight? I don't know. Are we streaming? We are. Oh, good evening, home viewers. So you all know where the exit is, and you found the loos, and the only thing you need to do from now is turn your phone off. Thank you. So haven't we been blessed with fine weather the last little while? Well, the rest of the country's been having a bit of a hammering. I loved what Adrian did the other day on Sunday and took a group of people to Hagley Park, and to see all those lovely photographs coming up was really beautiful. And I'm looking forward to having a stroll in the park myself, but not just at the moment. And all those daffodils and their delightful beauty. I'm glad you got them before this next lot of storm comes in, and you know how it comes and it rips them all apart. But anyway, that's how it happens. And one extra thing I'd like to say is it's Alan's birthday today, so happy birthday, Alan. So this evening we have got the MDC to show. MDC stands for Monthly Digital Challenge, and there's one person here I know who will be pleased to hear how that works. At the end of the month, when we show the images, we pick out of the hat the theme or the word for next month. And so we have this rolling word or theme to make a photograph of during that month. And so the MDC for the last month was That's Heavy. And we're going to see that this evening. And then after that, we're going to have the results of the latest PI or digital competition. And Francesca is going to introduce our most esteemed judge, who it's wonderful to actually have a judge here in person to give his opinion and critique of the images he sees. So let's begin. Have we got the MDC video ready?
David Rice. Here he is, top of the pops.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations. You got a draw for the next month. Number between 1 and 7. 5. And then between 1 and 30.
5 again.
5 again. And the answer is oil. Is that? So, thanks, David. We have depth continuing until, is it Monday, I think, the end of the month? Monday, yeah, midnight. Sunday, is it? All right. Sunday at 11:59 p.m. And then our new topic will take over. I'll email that to you tomorrow. But thank you for everybody for entering. And we look forward. We still need a few entries for this coming one. We've only got 12 or so. So we'll get some more. And Mr. Alistair is going to be judging. So it'll be tough. Thank you very much.
Thanks, John.
Do you want that lectern brought over?
No, right, I'm with it. Thank you very much, John. And now we have the results of the PI. So, Francesca, I'll leave it to you to introduce our judge, and we'll be underway.
Hi everyone, welcome to PI 6. Our judge tonight is Ian. Most of you know Ian, he's our president. Ian started his photography at high school, and I'm not going to actually say too much more about that. We're going to let Ian speak for himself. I'm going to show a few images of Ian's work. Fabulous images, really fabulous. And you can see, go on to ianwalls.com and have a look yourself. ianwallsphoto.com. Fabulous photos. Thank you, Ian, for stepping in. We lost a judge, so thank you, Ian.
Oh, am I on? Okay, thank you for the opportunity. I sent Francesca a spiel that I submitted that went in the PSNZ magazine recently because I'm on the honours board. It had a list of what we'd done, so I thought she was going to read all that out. So I'm pleased she didn't. But one of the things that's in there was that went through one of the early accredited judges courses. So I do a reasonable amount of judging, lots of it for other clubs. and more often than not, you don't get the opportunity to actually be in front of the people and talk about, you know, the images to them. You end up sending away critiques, or I do it on tape or whatever. There's a range of things. So to actually be here and to be at CPS is really good. I'm going to talk a little bit about how I judge, or how I'm going to judge this competition. Many of the other clubs do similar things to us, where the judges submit a sort of a detailed written word and then somebody reads it out. I've never been a fan of that from the judge perspective, because, you know, Heidi does a great job of reading it out, or whoever it is, but you miss some of the nuances and intonations and just what the judge is saying. In that, it's really hard to get across. And from a judging perspective, it's even harder, because you've got to write very precisely, and that's a pain in the butt as far as I'm concerned. So what I've done this time is I've done sort of in-between situations. So I've written some comments that have gone onto the website. So if you want to go back and have a look at the website, you'll see some comments, but they're not framed in nice sentences. They're just dot points and words. Because I'm just going to read those dot points and talk, make it up as I go along, effectively. So compared with the precise, well-executed accredited judge from PSNZ, I'm probably going to say and ah and repeat myself a few times. So bear that in mind. And the other thing is, I probably won't say "in my opinion" anywhere near enough times. But I'm just going to talk about your pictures as I see them, and we'll go from there. So a little bit different, but essentially the same. So we're ready to roll with the competition. Okay. Did we get a title? It's Heading Home. I really love the kind of gritty ICM effect. It's kind of staccato, spotty, and I don't know whether this was done with a multi-exposure technique. If it is, that's really cool. With multi plus slow is kind of good. There's an overall blue cast on essentially everything. Even the sand is bluey at the front, and I didn't understand that. But for me, where the story falls down a little bit, and John made the point that other people sometimes don't like that term, is that we are drawn immediately to the people, and there's two people here, so my eye goes bounce, bounce, bounce. Who's the main subject? Who's the main thing here? Is it the woman or the man? Both of them look interesting. The guy's carrying something which looks interesting, and the woman's got a towel or something over her shoulder which is interesting, but there's no relationship between them, and I don't know which one's the main subject. For me, it would feel better if there was only one person to look at and the rest of the composition around it fitted in that, or if the two people were standing close together so I can visually group them as a single entity. So that was the problem. Think about where the people are, because whenever you put people in a subject, even in an ICM thing like this, they become the main thing. So that was not accepted. Looking across Lake Hayes to Slope Hill. The black and white conversion's been done really well. There's little bits of detail in the hill. I think that hill on the foreground is Slope Hill, I'm not sure. But if that's what it is, then there is some detail in here. The main thing that I think that I get from your title is looking across towards Slope Hill and across the lake, is the main thing is about the lake, the water and the hill. But the most contrasty element and the thing that grabs my attention the most is the trees in the foreground, and they are highly contrasted. And Slope Hill is another main thing from what you're aiming for, but it's mostly in shadow and it's hard to see. The sky here is about 45% of the image, and there's nothing in it. So that 45% doesn't really add too much. So my suggestion here would be to crop a good chunk of that sky out, and crop up from the bottom to get a good chunk of that, the trees out. I don't mind a little element of tree, but it doesn't need to compete with the whole thing. With a kind of a letterbox type of crop, it would work, but as it's presented, it's not accepted again. Move on. Okay, oops, back now. Sunrise. Well executed setup, the lighting's even and flat from above, and the stems are all set well apart, and there's only a couple of little touch points, which actually adds interest where there are touch points. Mostly they're apart, but a couple of places the leaves actually touch, and that's good. I like the set out of the whole thing, but it needs something else to finish it from my point of view. This is a sort of image that's been constructed. You've got 100% control over everything. You need something to basically bring the whole thing together. Now, a suggestion I would have here would be to add a texture layer over the whole thing, or perhaps to add a colour variation layer over the whole thing, which then brings everything together. This, as it sits, feels a little unfinished and not accepted. Snow-painted scene. The frame's soft and painterly, the colours are muted, and there is depth. There is a feeling here. I'm drawn in and past across to the base of the hill. So there is something which stands there that holds things. But visually, what captures my eye is that power pole. It stands apart from anything else, and it just grabs my eye and holds me there. There's the power pole and the strong reflection. So they are the main thing, whereas the beauty in the scene is kind of behind it. I'm then left with the question is, where's the power lines? So there's a power pole there and power lines, and that is perhaps part of the more interesting stuff to it. So if that's the main thing, then construct your story as the main thing with the power pole. If the main thing is the scene, then the power pole is a conflict in this situation. Hoar frost. It must have been a chilly day. Seriously gorgeous looking trees, but it looks cold. This is a fantastic place, and I just think you needed to spend a little bit more time here to craft an image that tells the story of how you were feeling in this place. A couple of examples of things that for me didn't really contribute or add up. The road leads me beautifully in somewhere, but where to? There's nothing there. I'm just hidden away in the background. The blue sky is good, and it counterbalances the white frost, but it's kind of disturbed up the top by some bits of branch that are hanging down into it from absolutely nowhere. So in some respects, this is right on the top of the frame. Those little bits of straggly leaf at the top could go to be out of frame. I really think that the strongest image in this tree, in this frame, and the most important one is that tree kind of second back, the really white one. Because it's got the sunlight on it, it's drawing my attention. And I think if you saw that there and you went out to the left into that long grass and made that brightly sunlit tree the major element in your picture, I think this might have stood out a little bit more. You just need to craft the vision so that we can see what it is that you were feeling at the time. Home of boxes. Are we looking in on a person in kind of rough circumstances? There's nothing wrong with that, but it does feel like somewhat of an intrusion. We're in a funny kind of no man's land here. We're not seeing lots of context other than the concrete wall behind and the fact that he's in some boxes. But where is it? What space? If he was a small part of the frame and the story was bigger, like this is just outside somewhere else or where it is, or there are a group of people here or whatever, it might have added up to a story that is more about the situation and less about the individual. So it's a sort of hovering somewhere, and it isn't a portrait of the guy either. We're peeking over his shoulder. So it hovers somewhere in between a story about the person and a story about the place. And for me, I'm left with a feeling of intrusion rather than the essence of what you were trying to get across. Night lights. I love the simplicity of this, and there's an implied urban form in here. by these lights. And I've got absolutely no idea what they are or where they are, but there's a kind of a building shape comes through, and I really like that. I would recommend you have a look at a quote by Oliver Wendell Holmes, an American, who talks a little bit about, I've got the quote on there, you can go and look it up if you want to, but he talks a lot about simplicity on the far side of complexity as being a thing that he's looking for. So what he's saying is, if you present us with a complex situation, we've got lots of interest and lots of things happening, and you're able to distill it into a simple form, then you're on a winner. But if you're presenting simplicity for the sake of simplicity, it doesn't hold my attention for very long. And that's what's happened in this case. I've looked at it and went, that's cool, and then, but so what? And disappeared away. How could something more be made of this? Perhaps a little bit of the detail in the negative space. If I could see something in the front and something behind, and there was some structure in that might create more depth in this situation. Essentially, I want to applaud you for finding simplicity, but next time you're in a simple situation, say to yourself, am I looking at real simple simplicity, or is it simplicity on the far side of complexity? That's what we need to strive for. Bloke conversation. The posterisation effect is interesting, but I'm left with I'm not sure that I understand how it fits with the story. What's the relationship between the effect and the bloke's conversation? And what is the story? What is it about blokes talking? Well, maybe the whole point is they're not talking. Maybe that's what you're trying to say. But I feel like I'm peering into somewhere in a conversation that I don't belong. So there's that sort of intrusive kind of feeling again, rather than something that's evolved a bit more strongly. And I ended up going away feeling that the posterisation effect kind of was for the sake of it, rather than for a particular type of image construction to tell a story. But what about me? This is kind of well set up and lots of fun. There's great expressions on all the kids' faces. The two on the outside are obviously gloating that they've got the chocolate cake, and the one in the middle, it looks unfortunate, and I've put as far as the expressions I like, there is especially the unfortunate hungry girl. She's done a great job for you. But I'm still left with why? Why did she miss out? What's the story? I don't have a context to understand why she's missing out. So just to add some dimension, it's all kind of one-dimensional and flat. If there was a plate that had a last piece gone, or there was an evolution within that frame, I think that would have helped better. The lighting on the face is bright and effective, but unfortunately that's done with strobe, I suspect, because we've got this really large, strong shadow on the wall behind, which is distracting and kind of put me off in the whole thing. I like the idea of constructing stories like this. Just keep working at it and take it another step next time. Shades of grey. Lovely soft recessions. We start at the front with the darkest piece on the right-hand side, and we're drawn through the image by the lighter and lighter shades, so that there is depth, and I am drawn into the picture. There is balance. The balance between the water, sky, and the mountain is well handled, so that it's mainly about the mountains. There is a big blob of purple banding. If you go to the second ridgeline back, just on the bottom ridgeline where they join, and there's some unusual, I didn't know what it was about, but there's some purple banding in there that puts me off a little bit. And from a storytelling construct, I'm drawn through to the bright bit, but there's no way to get myself back round to the front or to go anywhere. So when I look at this picture, I go, next, bright gone, is the sort of path through the image. Nothing holds me in the bright bit of the frame. So go back and have a look and see if you can figure out what's caused that banding, and then think about constructing something in that brighter area to bring me back to the front, so I spend more time with it. Have fun while you can for tomorrow. There's pretty clearly something creepy going on here. I don't know where it is, but it's creepy. It's a really noisy image, so I get the sense that it's a dark and gloomy kind of place, so that's what's created the noise, so I don't have a problem with that. But the viewpoint I find difficult to understand. Perhaps this is high above you and you're looking up at it. Certainly the look at the cherub is in a bit of an unusual situation. But what's the main thing? Again, coming back to John's little way of thinking, but the skulls are so dominant, and the skulls are about the creepy place. Is it about the skulls, or is it about the cherub, or is it about the relationship between the skulls and the cherub? I'm left not sure what that is. If it's the relationship, I think that's cool, but I think you need to get further to the left and up higher so you can actually up an eyeball level with the cherub, and if you're seeing a skull somewhere close to that, I think those relationships would come together in a better way. I've just left this feeling a bit confused. Holmes Wharf in Oamaru. This is a lovely black and white conversion. There's good blacks in the doors, good whites, and even tone will flow through the whole thing. I enjoyed that part of it, and it looks like an interesting place. But what is it that's interesting? I'm searching to find out what it is that you want my eye to be drawn to, and I'm basically drawn to the front building just because it's biggest and it's slightly brighter than the others. And when I get pulled into there, all I'm met with is a dark door and a white wall and a black door. There needs to be something else. And the other point that's come through strongly here, there's quite a strong vignette that just pulls me into the frame but doesn't take me anywhere specifically. So an interesting place. You just need to decide what it is as the key to this place and then draw my eye to that so that I spend more time studying it. A loner ship. Well exposed, the position of the ship's good, and it draws my eye towards the ship. It's right in the middle, and the hills on the right-hand side are nicely lit and is complementary with the ship. The horizon's a bit out of kilter, so the water feels like it's flowing out to the side, and the sky looks potentially interesting and could do with a bit of a push of contrast to make that sort of stand out a little bit better. The other observation I get here is that the water and the sky are very similar in terms of size, so the visual weight of the two of them is exactly the same. And which one's the most important? Is it about the sky with the boat sitting on the horizon and the sort of glowy sunset in the background, or is it about the water and the fact that the boat's on the water? Choose one and crop it accordingly, so that's what your story is. So if you chose the water, you might crop across the top of the hills, and the boat would sit right at the top with a big amount of water at the bottom. If you did it the other way around, you could have the boat towards the bottom and the sky at the top, with a bit more punch in the sky, I think would work. Akaroa Harbour. Well executed long exposure. Nice and smooth. There's a couple of dust spots in the shadowy area to the right, so we just be a bit more careful about getting rid of dust spots. But otherwise than that, the long exposure technique's been really well done, because we've got the streaky water and we've got a nice sharp pier that would work. There's some compositional considerations that could lift this a little bit further. When I go to, again, what is this image about? Is it about the pier? Is it about the hills behind? Is it about the sky? Is it about the birds on the pole? What is it? A point of conflict is the top of the poles. The angle that you've taken at, the poles are overlapping with the ground in the background. If you'd lifted your tripod up a little bit higher, you would have got a separation. You would have had those poles directly against the water and the sky and the ground sitting above it, and you could have made a choice that it's about the pier. That would have drawn my attention to the pier more strongly. The ground in the background could have been secondary, and we could have cropped out a lot of that sky. So there are constructs that you could do to make what it is you're trying to tell me stand out more clearly. So technically good, just needs to think about that composition a little bit more. A delicate touch. I enjoyed the dark image, and it works with a quiet moment. Here's a bloke down on the pier, he's fishing, we've got a splash, there's a little bit of movement on him, and the whole thing is kind of dark and it holds together. The pole right beside him, I found interesting. I looked at it a few times and went, actually it works really well, because it creates a different differentiation between the space where the fisherman is and the water that stands out there. But I escape from this too easily, and I'm drawn away from what it is you're showing me to the bright lights at the top. Then I get up to the top and I see the yacht. There's a whole bunch of stuff happening at the top of the frame that is not part of the message that you're giving me. So I think the way to improve this is to crop down, basically to remove the yacht. You might leave a bottom part of the yacht so you can explain what the reflection is, but all the stuff at the top draws me out and conflicts with what you're trying to achieve. So that was not accepted. This is the first of the acceptances. Dawn of the Lion and the Elephant. Gorgeous colours. You've got there at a perfect time, and you've got those lovely blues in the water and in the sky, and the sun creating the beams onto that lovely colour on the side of the rocks. That works really well. I ask myself when I'm putting a picture together like this, how much can I take out and leave the essence of the picture behind? Because the more you take out, the more you concentrate the message onto the important bits. We've just said there's some really good bits there, but there's some other stuff that I'm not convinced adds to it, and that's all the grassy bit in the front. So have a think about cropping that pretty much off all the grassy bits, so you've still got some grass stepping the way across, and that's got a little bit of movement in it. Go and have a try, crop that and say, if I take that off, is the story still there? Is the story stronger? And just keep taking things out until you go, no, we've lost it, and then give it back a bit. So that's the one thing that I think you could do with this, but the colours and the way it's presented are really good, so a well-deserved acceptance. Great egret and the breeding display. Beautifully and technically well executed view of the egret, and I'm drawn to the feather detail and the bird's posture. So we're drawn right in, we can see the green markings on the bill and the bright orange eyes. I did find the vignette around the side of it just way too strong. It felt overcooked to me. I'm not sure that it's necessary, because the bird is nicely balanced. It's put in the middle of the frame so we can see it. It's pretty clear what you want us to look at. And we do that without darkening the frame to the extent that it's happened here. And I think if the frame wasn't darkening, some of the background context would have stepped things up a little bit. So nicely executed. Go and have a think about it. I know it's a phase that we all go through with that vignette slider. It really does pull the intention into the middle, and I'm sure if we look through hard enough on those images of mine, we'll find heaps of them that have got way too much vignetting. So try to pare it back a little bit, and I think you'll find it improves things. Fading memory. An interesting ICM view which simplifies the scene and allows the viewer to create their own story. I'd love it when people just give me something ambiguous and let me think about what it is and what's going on here. The black and white works really well. Again, it simplifies. And part of the story, and I've kind of looked at it and thought about it one way, again, we've got that sort of two people situation. So which person is it is the key. Maybe the key is that the two there, I'll make up a story about somebody chasing the other one or somebody running away or whatever it is. But equally, you could take one or both of those, each of those people, try taking them out and see what happens to the balance of the story. into the picture, you might decide that yes, they're important. Take out until you've taken too much, and then go back again. But have a play with taking one of them out and see if you think that improves things. But again, a well-deserved acceptance. Backstage at Tam Shang Festival. I love the vibrant colours expressed against the drab background here. I come away with the impression that there might be a bit more to this story than I'm presented with here. The presentation of the bright, vibrant colours, he jumps right out at me, and the relationship between him and his background works really, really well. But we've got these great reds and blues and purples and stuff, which are just really exuberant sort of colours, and that's not reflected in his expression. I remember when I first started at CPS, we had a judge, a guy by the name of Richard Poole, and some of you may have heard of Richard Poole, and when he turned up to CPS, you could actually tell he walked in, there was a degree of mana that he had. This is me sitting down the back, and a whole bunch of people who've been in CPS longer than I ever had respect for Richard Poole. And what that Poole said, he had a system when it came to people photographs, and he said you need ESP, and ESP is expressions, cell, photographs, was his key when it comes to people. So I think this guy's expression is not saying anything other than bugger off, which is unfortunate, because there's a really cool situation. If what I think would have been a better construct is if he wasn't looking at the photographer, if he had that mask. See, that mask on his leg looks really cool. I don't know what it is, but he looks like he puts that on. If he was thinking about it, looking at the mask, relating to that, a much more powerful story would have happened. So I think you have to look for your little moment. Cartier-Bresson called it the decisive moment. It's also called gesture in places. So there's lots of things that go through photography all the time, and it's all about moment. So look for moment to take this another step forward, because it's already well done technically. Washing Day. Great colours and a wonderful glimpse into the ordinary, and this is a pretty special place. There's nothing ordinary about this place, but here we go. Even in special places, people have to watch their t-shirts and bits and pieces, so that's what was going on here. I feel that it would resonate a little more with me if it was able to be simplified a little bit. I'm not sure how. My sense is that the white boat on the left-hand side doesn't add anything, and if it wasn't there, I think it would be stronger, perhaps. So that is going to need something clever to get rid of it, or come back when it's not there, or wait a minute, or come back to this place 2 or 3 times, and you never know, there might be something even more interesting hanging on the line the next day. But just try to think of yourself how you could simplify that a little bit. But I think lots of stuff in this construct works really well, but just that tiny bit too complex to really be it on as an image. Skeletal trees in the fog. I love misty trees, and here they pull me into the frame. There's lots of gnarly looking tree limbs, and there's a kind of spooky sort of essence going on here. Again, I'm looking at that whole thing, and I'm going, righto, what is the main thing? What am I drawn to? What am I looking for? And I'm drawn into there by the depth of the structure of the trees, and the more I go, the less I find. I really am longing for something interesting right in the middle of those trees to just set this thing off. It feels like a frame of a place waiting for a picture to happen, waiting for a moment to really bring it together and take it to that next level. But again, a good acceptance. Iron and light. Again, a great capture of light in a very interesting place. The whites are a little bit blown out, so I suspect we're possibly looking up into the sun that way. From a design point of view, I'm drawn by the visual lines as they pull me sort of from the right-hand side into the frame towards the left. And when I'm pulled in there, again, there's not much to be pulled to other than that bright window which sort of overpowers me. I think that's what it is that's your main thing here at the moment, is that bright window. But I think there's some other more interesting things that you could make a better element of. So looking around there, say to yourself, what is it, something that I can frame into? I can use the light to pull my eye into it to really sort of set this off. And it might be a detail, it might be a shaft of light sitting on, something, one of those windows to the right, or a shaft of light coming onto one of the bits of ironwork, whatever it is, make that the biggest part of the picture. Heading to the market in Kathmandu. Amazing balance this guy's got. I enjoy the fact that there is lots of environmental things there that show us we've got cars on one side and other people sitting in the shops or whatever they are to the left. So there is a context of the whole thing. But this is exactly the same point I made about expression selling photos. This is another expression of him going, what are you doing? It's an intrusive sense. And if that's what he's going to do, then really you need to kind of push that perhaps. I get the essence that it's, you wanted to show me the fact that he's carted all his clothes and he's on his way somewhere. Perhaps an expression that looks like he's tired or had enough or whatever might have held together better than I'm grumpy, which is what I get. White-faced heron. Technically well done, sharp, well exposed, simple background that works really well. We've got those dreamy colours in the background. The position in the frame works well. There's a bit of movement on the bird that's standing there on one leg doing something. And its gesture is unusual. So what does that tell me? Maybe it's a shy bird. Is this a consistent sort of nature story about what this thing does that's hiding away there? I just found this moment a little bit unusual and didn't tie in with, for me, the quality of the rest of the picture as a presentation of what this bird looks like. So, we've got beautiful feather detail, beautifully sharp picture of its head. I think a portrait of the bird might have been more effective than a slightly quirky, I'm shy, I'm hiding my head type of thing. A straight up portrait with the bird standing there looking proud would, for me, have worked better. The jump. This is a perfect moment and a completely mad thing to do. That bike looks like it's history, I think. The timing is critical in this image. The fact that he's let go, the bike's in space on its way down and he's about to splash down. But one of the other things that's happening in this picture, there's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 other people, and they're all looking at him. So that's a really well done, and that works super well. If you'd gone around to the left and seen the splashdown as well, that's probably another good picture that could have been had a second or two later. Square root. Separation and simple background make this work. I love the way the branch on the left-hand side of the frame, looking at it, it just tucks into that little piece of the, it's left, isn't it? So on the right-hand side, looking at it, just that branch tucks into the little part of the terrain behind it, and I get a sense that isn't an accident. Somebody's done that on purpose, and well done. There's a couple of benches at the bottom that stood out more on the computer than they do here, and for me they kind of hover halfway, and I think I'd either get rid of them, so darken the base of it out completely so that the benches are gone, or open the shadows up so that I can see that they're benches. This is sort of halfway land between the two, and that just means the base of the picture it doesn't make as much sense as the rest of it does. The dahlia effect. I enjoyed this presentation. There's a kind of an analog inspired processing. Somebody might tell me that it is actually an analog picture, but I don't think so. I get a sense that this is done in Nick Effects or something like that with one of those analog kind of effects. But it's a perfect choice to get this kind of story across. There's an appropriate level of softness, and I'm drawn past all the soft, swirly and shapely things to the middle of the flower, and that works. The other thing that I find interesting in here is I think this is a technique where you put the flour in some water, and then you put some paint and stuff like that, and it all dribbles and swirls past. This feels like the paint is flowing up to me, and I wonder what it would look like if the picture flipped around the other way, so that made more sense. Maybe it's not that at all, doesn't matter, but I enjoyed the swirls, but in the end I looked at that and went, what's going on? But anyway, accepted, so it was good. Mealtime. I get taken on a great journey here. There's footprints all over the place, and the positioning of the cattle. I looked at these several times, and I wonder if the 3 black cattle are the same cow as it moved across the frame, and there's a composite image done. I don't know if that's what it is or not, because it does look like there's a black one and the 3 over the side. Yeah, I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed that letterbox wide screen effect, and the whole construct kind of worked better. From the simplicity message that I said at the start, take a few things out until you lose the message, and I wonder if you took a couple of those cows out and you just had a group on one side and a single cow walking away, that would improve it. I don't know, I didn't try it, but it's just something that I would think about when I came to looking at that, just in terms of simplifying the message a little bit more and getting the essence across. But well seen, well constructed, and I like the way it's presented here, which is a little bit different. Doug the Digger. We all saw this when Amber did the reprocessing of it. So the photographer's gone away and processed it like Amber suggested, which is really good. So we need to do some more teaching people how to process. I think from memory, I didn't get a chance to dig it out and have a look, but there was a distraction right on the bottom right-hand side of his jacket, which has disappeared. So the focus pulls into his face, and it's really about his expression and the fact that he's smoking a cigar or a cigarette or whatever it is that sort of tells it. I think there's probably more to be had in the expression, to be honest. So just keep playing, keep talking, keep trying to get him to get the essence of him coming through. But it's come together really well and a strong acceptance. Tropics in the Botanic Garden. The colours and the form work really well here. You've used the ICM technique to create a sort of streaky abstraction. Whenever you get an abstraction thing like this, the natural thing that we all want to do is to go, what is it? We look for something that's kind of recognisable, and the thing that's recognisable here for me is on the left-hand side of the frame, there's a tree. The rest of it can be anything. It could, I don't know what, it probably is a palm tree, but it's less recognisable as a tree. We've got this blurry tree in the bottom left of the frame, and for me, that getting rid of that pushes the abstraction thing a little bit further. So go and have a try that. My suggestion here would be to crop across from the right and a little bit from the left and make it square. It's a thing that I like. This is just a me liking it as much as anything else, but I'll tell you why I like it, and you can decide whether it's worth a try. When it comes to any photograph, whether it's presented as a landscape or a portrait, there's a reason they're called that. A landscape gives you a view that's a vast sort of thing of the place that you're looking at. A portrait is up and down of the person. So both of those types, and we saw with that letterbox construct even more the extremity of the landscape thing. There is something in the form of the rectangle which tells you something. In a square, it's ambiguous. So I really enjoy creating square abstracts because the whole point of an abstract is to be ambiguous. So take this away and turn it into a square and at the same time get rid of that tree on the left-hand side. I think it'll sing. Just something to go and try. I'm not going to tell you how to process it, but I want you to go and have a play with that and see if you agree with me, or you just go, he's bonkers, I do it my way, and that's fine as well. Dreamy, this is the first of the high acceptances. I love the dreamy effect here. Again, this is the paint and water thing that's going on here, and we've also got some bubbles and all sorts of stuff. The bubbles are what draw me in. I go past there, and there's a little closed up bud right in the sort of almost in the middle of the frame, but off to the side a little bit, which really works really well and pulls me in there. I just love the depth. The fact that there's more flowers further back that are more obscured by the streaky paint. The whole thing works really well. There's a couple of distracting spots. There's a big blob of pink on the top flower, which I don't know, but I wonder if that's a reflection on the water tank, if that's what it is. A little bit of post-processing desaturation in that area or cloning or something could get rid of that. When I noticed it, as soon as I noticed it, it's hard to unnotice, and I found it a little distracting. There's also a couple of blobs down the bottom side. So just look for distractions and take them away while you've got this thing in front of you on the computer, because you have 100% control over everything that's in the frame that I see, and while you've got control about it, take away things that don't work with the rest of what you're saying. But really beautiful picture, well done, and that's a high acceptance. Royal Spoonbill at Travis Wetland. Great moment, pin sharp eyes, the bill's gorgeous, the wings are flapping, there's sharpness on the wingtip, the water's blurry and out of focus in behind, and there's just enough room in front of the bird for it to fly into. There's a whole bunch of things you can go on like that I really enjoy. I just ended up being a little puzzled by the areas underneath the wing in shadow. On the near side, just where that shadow line is underneath the wing, behind that is really soft when you look at it in the frame, and I just couldn't figure it out. I think it might be something to do with the post-processing of pulling up that shadows. So the wingtip closer to me than that is pin sharp. The shadowy bit at the rear end of the bird is blurry, and the front end of the bird is sharp. And when I start looking like that, I scratch my head and go, I'm not sure why that is. There might be a completely logical reason for it, and tell me again if it is afterwards, because I couldn't figure it out. But the rest of the things I said about it are perfect, and I just love this so much that it got a high acceptance. Waterfall. Beautiful colours and control of the highlights in the flowing water. That's, so often we see waterfalls like this. It's so easy to blow out the highlights in that, and getting the balance between the streaky water and the white is a difficult thing to achieve, and you've done it really well. It does feel like it's tilting to the right to me a little bit. I know there's no such thing as a level horizon in this when it goes around the edge of the pool, but I would try tilting it to the left a little bit and see if it just feels more natural. That's not a right or a wrong, that's just how I kind of felt about it. The area on the top left of greenery and stuff there is quite bright and saturated. I think you could probably darken that down a little bit, and it would allow my eye to get pulled into the waterfall just a little bit better. but I'm nitpicking here because it's a really good picture and well done. So when you get good pictures, I'm going to nitpick them for the sake of nitpicking, because you can choose that yourself. So, Friends in the Frost and Fog, again, high acceptance. This has got a sort of infrared feel about it, if you've ever seen any infrared black and white pictures with the grass going all white, but in this case the grass is done by the hoarfrost, so that works really well. The horses are engaging with each other and with us. The fact that works really well. They're looking back at us and chomping on a bit of frozen lolly grass while they do that, which is kind of cool. From a technical point of view, I love the way you've controlled the shadows in that dark horse. It's really easy for a situation like this for that to be all black. It isn't. There's just a little hint of light in there, and to the point that we can't really see the eyes, but you can certainly see where they are, and you can see some shadow detail on that. That's really well done, and the background works really well. I think that's fog, but it kind of comes across as a textured sense of a background. Almost feels like one of those studio backgrounds that are made up with textured things, but it's completely natural, is my sense, and I really enjoyed this picture. High acceptance. First of the honours. So this is called Child Rider, which I think is a bit harsh a title, to be honest. If this person can ride that motorbike as fast as that, as close to that to the ground, I'm not calling them a child, but whatever. It's a perfect moment. You've got the angle really well nailed here. The angle of both the motorbikes gives that sense of energy as they're coming around the corner, and he's looking across, he or she, looking across the corner to where they're going, and you really can see that finding the rider with a clear visor makes all the difference. The bloke in the background is all mysterious and dark and, sense of evil as he's trying to pass or whatever, whereas our child rider at the front is charging free. So really like that. So I suspect that this is not an accident. So the photographer's done this before. They've spotted, here comes somebody with a clear visor, and they've made the photograph of them. Well done. Shallow depth of field emphasises the story, and we've got the shutter speed is correct to freeze the face, but we've still got a bit of movement in the wheels. So awesomely well done, and well-deserved honours. Gunner tribe man from Biasha. Simple image construct with the depth in the story. It starts out, you start out when you come into it by seeing his pipe, and the pipe kind of draws us in, and you finish with the bloke who's looking back at us, but he's got a wonderful expression. He's engaging with us, he's got a smile on his face, he looks like he's having a moment that is perfect. What a thing to do, just sit there and puff on a pipe. Not that I ever have, but I like the idea of it. And he's relaxed and he's happy, and he has no problem with you being there with your camera, and that expression has sold that photo for me. Really loved it. The simple complementary background works, and once again, a strong honours. Steampunk style. I love the feeling of peeking in to this steampunk guy's world. The black and white is perfect. It works really well with this image, because quite often these clothes are colourful. It's probably brass or gold or whatever on his little, whatever those things are on his eyes. That they have lots of bits and pieces of colour, and you've taken all of that away, and that allows us to draw in to see him and to see the details in his cool grey beard, and that works really well. I also really enjoyed the fact that there's not a single reflection on his glasses. That's always a challenge, and you've achieved that with just the way the lighting. He's just under a shadow enough from the brim of his hat so that that's not happening. It's completely free of reflections, and the negative space out on the left-hand side of the picture there perfectly balances. It doesn't need anything in that negative space because he's so interesting. So this is where you've found a simple thing, a complex person, and you've simplified it. So this is this is simplicity on the far side of complexity here, so well done. I really enjoyed this picture. And another honours. Flaming Nightmare. There's a huge feeling of energy and power that is kind of perhaps out of control here. It does feel to me like it's a composite image, and I don't mind that. I like the fact that it's a composite image and it's been done really well. Sort of the flames engulfing the rear nodding, whatever those things are called, oil wellhead, and there's some sort of shapes of buildings within the framework that are there. But the story here is really strong. The story is that there's energy there, and if we don't control it, the whole thing can get out of control, and we lose control of what we're trying to do here. Really powerfully put together image, and you know, I can almost feel the heat of it while it sits up there on the picture for us. So again, strong honours. Dash. This is the perfect moment. The guy with the ball in the centre of frame is right in the centre of the frame, and all the others are supporting the action. They're reaching out to help him or try and stop him or whatever. It is interesting that there's one bloke in the back, the guy in the blue in the far side, who's not even looking at it. I do see from his number on his back that he's number 10, so he's a back, so he's miles away from the action, is pretty much normal, I guess. So even that makes sense, that this is all happening with the forwards. And I enjoyed the fact that he's right in the middle, the guy with the ball, and they're all sort of swarming around them to try and cut him down or to help him. And the determined look on his face is what carries the whole story. So once again, an honours. And the last picture, and best in show, Zealandia Tuatara surveying its surroundings. The colours here are beautiful, and it just jumped out of the frame at me. These things are usually in a really dark and challenging place to photograph, and the photographer here has done a wonderful job of it. The light on the Tuatara is perfect. We've got these golden colours that you don't necessarily sense always, you know, they're there, they clearly are there, but it's coming through loud and clear. And as opposed to that, the background and the surroundings and the environment are all kind of muted and mysterious, and this golden 100-year-old lizard is jumping out of the whole thing. It's perfect, and I love this picture. So that's best in show.
Thank you, Ian. Okay, we'll have the presentation of the certificates now. What wonderful feedback. Just fabulous. Thank you, Ian.
Need a cuppa. Oh, you take that. Yep. I'll go over this way.
Dawn of the Lion and the Elephant, John, oh, I haven't got my glasses.
John
Damn
Hawkins.
it. John,
Want some glasses?
not here today.
There you go.
Great Egret, Ian Harrison.
Well done, Ian.
Fading Memory, Heecham.
Oh. Okay, Ian.
Backstage Tamshing Festival, Barry Dinch.
Well done, Barry. Good.
Washing Day, Raywin Wright. Skeletal Trees in the Fog, Jan Boak. Iron and Light, Pip Owens. Heading to the Market in Kathmandu, Alistair Phillips.
Well done, Alistair.
The White-Faced Heron, Bonnie Stemcan. The Jump, Carolyn Alcock. Square Root, Tony Hickland.
Well done, Tony.
The Daily Effect, Nicola Jackson. I think she had to leave. Mealtime, Peter Curtis. Okay. Doug the Digger, John Thornton. Tropics in the Botanical Gardens, Maxine Cooper.
Well done, Maxine.
Dreamy, Robin Johansson.
That's cool, Robin.
Royal Spoonbill at Travis Wetlands, Alan Moore.
You'll have to tell me.
That's right, why it's soft.
Yeah.
I wish I knew.
Waterfall, Lucy Ferguson. Friends in the Frost and Frog, Dawn Kirk.
That's gorgeous.
Child Rider, Les Amon. Gunner Tribe Mam in Baisha, JK.
Awesome picture, JK.
Steampunk Style, Penny Kennedy.
Well done.
Flaming Nightmare, Ron Williams. Dash, Desmond New.
Well done, Desmond.
And Best in Show, Zealandia Turatara, Surroundings, Duke
Whoa,
Kirk.
well done, you. Well done, you.
Thank you, Ian.
No
Thank you
problem.
for such wonderful feedback and all your hard work as the president. Thank you. Oh, we'll have some feedback on some talks from the top guys. Judy.
I took this picture quite a long time ago at Zealandia. My daughter lives in Wellington and I was staying up there and I went through Zealandia and he was just sitting there. I took acres of photos and he just sat there for me and he was just perfect. Thanks, Judy.
Desmond.
I just like all sorts of sports, so sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't.
Ron's not here. Penny.
So that was at the STEAM festival out at the STEAM place out by yeah, and it was very brightly coloured, distractingly so, and there was some background there. So I decided I didn't need any of that. I was so fascinated by his face and his little ear bent over and stuff like that. I just thought it would be magic in black and white.
Fabulous. JK.
It was a trip I took last year to China, Guizhou, southwest of China, and went to a village called Biasa, which is, a male minority
Yep.
village. And this guy was smoking, and I just took this picture candidly. He didn't even know I was taking.
Fabulous. Thank you. Les not here. Dawn. That's okay.
I was going up to Arthur's Pass to take some birds, and we got up and there was black ice on the road, and we had passed the horses, and we decided we would pull over and wait for a while to see what was going to happen with the road, because I was driving and it was very slippery. And I said to my husband, oh, I should go back and take a picture of those horses. That white one's gorgeous. So I did.
Fabulous. Shall we leave it there then? Yep, and I'll pass you back to Joe.
Excuse me, could I just ask for a favour? I seem to have lost the top of my camera, which said, had a sticker on it, said Newell's camera. If you just have a look around, I think I'd appreciate that. Quite a bit.
Okay, that's what we'll call intermission. Has everyone looked under their seat and lifted up their jacket that they've put down? Well, keep an eye out for it when we put the chairs away later and when we move. Show us again, Neil, where it's a cover that's come off that.
Yes.
Is that it? Mm. And you did have it here when you arrived. Okay. Well, it should turn up with all of us looking out for it. Thanks for asking us. So tonight we've come to the end of our program, and what an amazing evening we've had of learning, education and inspiration. Thank you everybody who put your images up for discussion. It makes all of us learn a bit more and enables us to make better photos, which is what the club's all about. So thank you for that. So a couple of promos next week. Look out for the Crystal Ball Photography. Jane Barnes is going to head that, and that's going to be a really neat exercise to do. She's not here tonight, so I'm sure she'll write something about if we have to bring cameras or what to bring for that. Tonight also C-grade print and the digital image is due to be in. This box here has a couple of prints in it. Anyone else here with a print that they need to bring up? Okay, that's good. So if you're still dithering on which of your PIs you're going to put in, you've got till just before midnight to put that in tonight. So go straight home and get that done. The other thing that I really want to talk with you about is the PSNZ Interclub, the New Zealand Landscape Salon. It closes on the 8th of September, and this is a big one, and it would be really neat if all of us put the 4 images in that we're allowed to put in, because it's run by our club, and it gives us a little more finance to keep the club running if we all contribute in a small way. And also, you're up against lots of images that have been made in New Zealand, not particularly by New Zealanders, but they're all New Zealand images, and what we get out of that is something quite fantastic, like that waterfall image, for instance. And the other one that I need to tell you about is the MDC Depth this month. It's due on the 31st, which we discussed earlier. So to bring the evening to a close, I'd like to thank you guys on the bench over there with the visuals and the sound, and those people who set up supper, thank you again for that. Thank you for, I think John's already left, but his session at 7 o'clock was great, wasn't it? Those follow-ups are really worthwhile. And last but not least, Francesca, thank you for that, organising all of the PI secretarial work. And Ian, thank you. Your words of wisdom are certainly worth considering, even if we don't take heed. The considerations from your point of view are certainly worth tutoing with the image to see if we can make it better. So we'll put the chairs in the back of the room, and good night everyone, and drive carefully home.